Shalini and I met in March of 2010.
But in reality, there was a whole series of events that took place even before that meeting ever happened. It all started on that one night when my best friend Eugenie and I were having coffee and catching up on our weekly updates and gossip.
Don't you mean daily updates and gossip?
Yeah, joke all you want. Anyways, we were discussing how many of our friends had met their significant others through online dating websites. We were curious and decided, hey, why not create our own profiles to see what all the hype is about?
I was at a point in my life where I was comfortable doing what I was doing. I had finished school, landed a cushy job, and was pretty happy with life as it was.
Or so you thought. You just hadn't met me yet.
Yeah, well, apparently my mom felt quite differently too. There were many times when she continued to ask me, when are you gonna find a nice girl to marry? When are you gonna find a nice girl to marry? When are you gonna find a nice girl to marry? She was always suggesting ways to introduce me to some really nice girls. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. A few of my friends and coworkers had told me about their success online, and I thought, why not give it a try? I created a profile and started using the site. I saw this cute girl and her tagline was,
Bring it on.
and I'm not one to shy away from a challenge, so I brought it with, hi, how you doing?
Eugenie and I were just wrapping up another one of our coffee sessions when I received that message from Ralph. I remember clicking on his picture to read his profile. His interests were cooking, traveling, and playing video games. I looked at Eugenie and said, what do you think? She looked at his profile, looked at me, and said, stop overanalyzing. Just message him, because you never know.
Hold up. Eugenie was behind you responding to my message?
Not exactly. She just gave me that little push that I needed.
After that, Shalini and I soon exchanged emails, then phone numbers, and we began talking to each other almost every day for the next 3 months. We got to know each other really well, eventually to a point where I was ready to meet her in person. Those of you who know me know that I'm a big foodie, and I really wanted to impress Shalini with my cooking abilities. So I decided to invite her over for some of my famous prosciutto wrapped chicken.
Which of course would have been awesome and yummy, except there was no way I was meeting him at his place for our first date. So I suggested instead that we meet at a neutral location.
And I reluctantly agreed. We made plans to meet for drinks for our first date.
I was super early, and I'm usually late to everything, but I guess I was both nervous and excited to meet him. When he walked through that door, I instantly knew it was him.
I was definitely more nervous than her going in, but as soon as I saw her smile, my nervousness suddenly disappeared.
It goes without saying, we hit it off on our first date and made plans to meet again soon after.
Over the next few months, Shawnee and I continued to spend time together and got to know each other. Everything was going great.
To backtrack a bit, I have to point out that before Ralph and I had even met, my mom had made the executive decision that she needed to set me up with someone. She tried to talk to me about this nice guy that her cousin had mentioned to her. I, of course, shut that down as soon as I could. I made it clear that I would find my special someone on my own.
I think both of our mothers were on the same page as far as trying to set each of us up. My mom also suggested she'd be able to find me a nice single girl, but I was adamant that I was capable of doing that on my own. She just went ahead and put me on the market anyways.
My mom, however, was absolutely determined. One night, while I was getting ready for my date with Ralph, of whom my mother knew nothing about at the time.
Just for the record, I want your mom to know it was not my idea to hide our relationship.
Okay, I'll take the blame for that one. Anyways, she walked into my room and started talking to me about that nice boy again. Her pitch went something like this. He's a really nice boy, and he's an only child. It's just him and his mom. He works for TD now. Did you know he went to U of T and he studied software engineering?
Wait a minute. I'm an only child. I worked for TD. I went to U of T and studied software engineering. And I'm a really nice guy if I do say so myself.
As soon as my mom started listing this nice guy's attributes, my mind snapped to attention. I quickly asked her, what's this guy's name? She seemed to know so much about him, but had conveniently forgotten his name. At this point, though, I was feeling a little nervous about who this person could be. Had she just described my date that night? Was it just a coincidence? I asked her again, "Is his last name Thavisagayam?" She looked at me a little confused. "Is his first name Herbert?" She broke into a smile and said yes. At that point, I didn't know what to think because somehow the guy that my mom wanted to set me up with was the same guy that I was currently seeing.
Needless to say, we were both really surprised when this whole story unraveled.
But looking back now, we realize that both our paths were destined to cross one way or another.